Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining the call today for Japan Display Fiscal March 22 earnings and the growth strategy. My name is Kumi Higuchi, Investor Relations Manager at JDI. Today, the speakers are Scott Callon, our Chairman and CEO, and Akihito Okochi, our CFO. Now, Scott will start the presentation with an overview of the fiscal March 22. Scott-san, please.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. There's a lot of material that I'll be going through with you, so please hang with me. I'll try to be efficient. So we have two presentations for you today. We announced after market close the results of our March 2022 fiscal year. I'll start with that, and then I'll turn to our growth strategy, METAGROETH 2026, and both reasonably long. So I'll try to be brief and allow time for Q&A without kind of skipping over the important matters. So let's start with the presentation. I think I have the controls. There we go. Personal deck for a better world. Okay. So here's the overview of the fiscal year that just ended. And let me start by positioning this. Very, very tough operating environment. Continues to have severe chip shortage impacts, and we do everything we can and have done everything we can to manage through it. But it was nonetheless, despite all those challenges, a very good year in terms of delivering within a severe operating environment the things that we needed to do. So profitability improved very substantially. We had a target to get to EBITDA positive, so cash earnings positive by the fourth quarter. We hit that. We actually generated a full year positive EBITDA. So a lot of success in terms of ongoing business and the financial outcomes of what we're doing in the business. A second bullet point, and I'll talk to it in some more detail on this later, more fundamentally, because this is about building this firm on a going forward basis to be an incredibly powerful technology provider to the world. We have two massive breakthroughs. One is called HMO, high mobility oxide, ultra low power consumption, is the backplane technology. And the second one we announced, an HMO we announced in March. ELIP, which is massless next generation OLED technology. Both of these are historic breakthroughs. We announced ELIP today, and so there's actually some materials that you can review if you'd like to look at that technology. We launched Real Clear, our transparent display technology with the world's highest transparency. We work to protect our IP and intellectual property, of which we have a lot. We increased capital via Ichigo Trust. We transferred a Taiwan plant to our MES partner because we think they were a better owner of it. It increases our cost competitiveness. And we did a capital structure optimization to improve our financial position. So that's the overview. To repeat kind of what some of the goals were for the year, strengthening existing businesses and build new businesses, we accomplished both of these. I'm going to run forward because, again, this is a lot of material. So, yes, we had targets, we hit them. So let me give you some context on what the business looks like. A broad overview and kind of looking at the three segments: mobile, which is smartphones, automotive, and the non-mobile, which is primarily wearables and metaverse VR devices. We used to call them VR devices, but they clearly have become part of a large, potentially very powerful transformation, which is the metaverse, and we'll all figure out together how important that is for new forms of communication and community. But we have a very, very substantial presence in that area. But anyway, across the mobile and automotive and non-mobile sets, we have an expected and ongoing decrease in customer in smartphone LCD sales. That business is effectively going away. We understand that. On the other hand, China, and because the yen is where it is, we have, without question, the most competitive G6. And G6 is the right mother glass size for serving the smartphone market, the most competitive G6 fab in the world right now in Mobara, and we intend to keep it that way. So we've sold in a very cost competitive market of substantial into China. So The LCD sales to US and Europe down big, but everything else up. So China smartphone up 19%, automotive up 21%, despite all the challenges in the market, and non-mobile. So again, VR and wearable up 27%. I've already mentioned on the R&D front that we successfully developed HMO and eLeap, which are huge breakthroughs. Again, one announced in March, one announced today in May. These are both kind of once in a lifetime, and I'll talk in some more detail about the technologies. So it's a huge statement and evidence of how we are very good at this. And the firm kind of lost its way with the wrong cost structure and the wrong approach to serving customers. And in part, what went wrong with us, if I can be super transparent about it, because I think it's my job to be, is we were too slow. And both of these, HMO and eLeap, are the first ever in the world. If you're going to be the first ever in the world, you need to be fast. And so one of the things that's really transformative and powerful about these breakthroughs is that we've gotten there faster than anybody else, and we've gotten very fast at innovation and invention. In terms of JDI wide, we've done all sorts of things to reduce supply chain impacts. We've worked on defending our intellectual property. We talked about selling the Taiwan plant, and we've done a lot more on sustainability and decarbonization. In terms of earnings, you can see on the left-hand side, we did end up with a full year EBITDA just by a tiny bit positive, which is actually far above plan. So significant improvements year on year, despite sales being down. If you look at the table below, it says including parts and material shortage impact. So we actually took it very significantly on the chin. So 22 billion yen improvement year on year if it hadn't been for in EBITDA, if it hadn't been for the shortages that we experienced. Look, we did a lot of work to minimize the shortages, but still there was an ongoing impact. We would have been profitable on an OP basis if it hadn't been for these one-offs. And I say one-offs because at some point it's happening. It's beginning to happen at this point, but over the next 2 years, this semiconductor shortage will go away. As you can see on the right-hand side of the page, big drop-off in U.S. European mobile. That's the plan. We would love to have kept this business if it were highly profitable. It has become a commoditized business. It's not super interesting for us to be involved in product that kind of 5 or 6 or 7 other manufacturers can do. But as you can see, every other product category grew year on year. This is what looks like in terms of waterfall of the improvements year on year relative to last year in terms of OP. If you can see the other, it says including inventory writings. I'm sorry, that's a little bit unclear language. It's a drop off of inventory write-downs that we had last year. So kind of improvements across the board, which reflect kind of substantial ongoing operating improvements in our profitability. You can see that on the left-hand side, and then we have the middle, we have the forecast, and then we have the actual results. We substantial improvements year on year and substantial beating of the forecasts. This is what we want to do. We put out forecasts that we believe are conservative, and we hit and beat them. You can see in the fourth quarter also we had EBITDA profitability and OP profitability. It would have been nice if all such things hadn't gone wrong in the world, and I don't talk about what this year's forecast looks like, experiencing very severe impacts from the Shanghai lockdown and from impacts in Ukraine, and it is what it is. We will, we run forward. There's a clear path and ongoing improvements in the fundamental profitability of the business, and at some point we expected to be profitable this year on an OP basis. That's not happening particularly because of what's going on in Shanghai, but also because of the driving up in commodity prices, so input prices, because of Ukraine, and we're just going to work our way through it. So here's the forecast. Again, we thought we were going to turn to not only EBITDA profitability, but OP profitability this year. That's not in the cards. As you can see, Q1 is horrendous. what's going on right now, and we have substantial nexus with partners and suppliers and our own factory right near Shanghai. I mean, there's been a paralysis of production. We're beginning to ease our way out of it, but Q1 is just horrible beyond belief because that's the reality. And then you can see we have improvements throughout the year. We will turn back to EBITDA profitability we expect in Q3 and Q4. And there's, of course, a risk factor around things staying worse for longer. The only upside to that is, either the challenges that are going on in China, the challenges that are going on with global input prices, they ease, or they don't ease, and we have an opportunity to go to our customers and say, this has been a fundamental structural change in pricing, and we need to pass it on to you. So we do think we work our way out of the current situation. But it's rough, and it's something that is being experienced by manufacturers all over the world right now. That's what I have in terms of the corporate presentation. I'm going to turn next to what we think our future looks like, which is our growth strategy. And let me get a chance for us to change the presentation. Okay, let me talk about the going forward, which we've called METAGROETH 2026. So this is a 5-year growth strategy. We took the word meta because it means comprehensive and overarching. It means big, and we attach it to growth to underscore our commitments to transformational growth. We think there is, and I'll go into some detail on this, but we think we are, without question, have retaken our position as the global technology leader in a business that's all about technology. And we have every opportunity, and we expect to deliver it to you in terms of transformational growth. The other thing that's also obvious that's on the page is that Meta, in the minds of many, as of last year, kind of creates a sense of the metaverse. And we are the dominant provider of hardware in the metaverse space. And so the metaverse is also a growth driver for us. So you get meta growth, not only because of the ongoing broad set of opportunities for us to drive growth for you across the board, but also specifically in the metaverse context. 4 elements of today's presentation, which goes through the growth strategy. 1, our core strategy. 2, the actions we took to drive structural profitability in the last 2 years. Financial targets and KPIs, and then our 6 proprietary growth drivers. So let's go to it. Here's a core strategy. We expect to be the global number 1 in technology leadership, to best serve customers and deliver personal tech for a better world. And we are going to drive a meta growth and value creation. There are 3 elements there that are really important. The first one is we expect to be, and we are, and expect to be on an ongoing basis, and that's our deliverable, to be the premier technology provider in displays in the world. The second element is we exist, and we think companies exist to serve society. And so the goal of having technology leadership is to best serve customers and deliver personal tech for a better world. And the third element is we think the combination of those 2 things, of creating outstanding customer and social value through technology leadership, would allow us to drive very substantial value creation. There are 3 underpinning elements to the strategy. And I'll talk about each of them on the pages that follow, but it's worth kind of pointing out what we think our position is, where we are in the world, and that is, we are a display company, and the good news is that displays are a foundation of technology for modern society. So we deliver an incredibly important technology for people to live. And all of you on the call, just like me, I suppose, use displays in a fairly substantial way for your lives. And so that's the good news. We're involved in a space that is really important and creates huge value. And the second element is that we have unmatched technology capabilities, and we're going to deliver customer and social value and improve people's lives. Let me go through the 3 sub-elements of the strategy. One is global number one technology leadership. I mentioned earlier, we announced today eLeap, our next generation OLED technology. In March, we announced HMO, high mobility oxide. I'll talk a little bit about each of these technologies. Those are number one in the world technologies. No one has generated this technology ever. In the metaverse, we are number one in the world. We're the only company that is capable of shipping 1200 PPI or more ultra high resolution displays. So we literally have 100% market share. Our Real Clear technology, and as you can see, this is the first time that this Real Clear is on the page. If you look at it's transparent displays, and we're number one in the world in this also. Starting with a C, going right, it says clear. And if you actually start on the C and go left, it also says clear. And it's a way of saying, unlike most displays, which block the view, that you can actually have clarity from both sides. Anyway, so that's why we call it Real Clear. And so, to be clear, we don't think this is we expect to do this. We think we have evidenced that we truly are a global technology leader. We have regained our technology leadership, and we're going to drive this really hard to create customer and shareholder value. The second key element is based on this market-leading technology is transformational growth. So it's a worthy question. So you're going to be a technology leader. How valuable is that? And the answer is we think incredibly valuable. In fact, it is the most essential element of what we do. The display business is a technology industry. We are a technology company. Our customers are technology companies. Our customers' needs as technology companies is technology, superior technology and high cost performance. And we think those two run in hand, right? So you can't claim you have the best technology if you don't have the best cost performance. So it really is incumbent on us to deliver the single best high cost performance technology to our customers. And in doing so, we can support our customers' own value creation and their competitive advantage. So key elements to what we're doing is to drive our market-leading technology and do it in a way, as in the third bullet point points out, without participating in commodity competition, because we're the only guys with this technology. That's what global number one means. It means, as an example of eLeap and HMO, or the examples I gave earlier in terms of the metaverse space, we're the only folks who have this technology, and that's what makes it valuable. It's not enough for a company to have great products. I mean, having great products is of course super important, but that's a necessary but insufficient condition in order to be truly profitable. You need to have great products or services that no one else can produce, because that's if you have great products and 5 other firms have the exact same great products, then there's actually no real value creation. So we're focused on using our technology for transformational growth. The third linchpin of the strategy is green tech and sustainability. There is no question that there are deeply important global environmental issues, and we have the ability to address them. And I'll talk a little bit about kind of some of the elements of eLeap and HMO, for example. They're extraordinarily energy efficient, and they enable us to deliver significant value to our customers. And our customers really care about this. So increasingly, they're looking hard at the supply chain that we're part of. Are you doing the right things for the world? I already pointed out earlier, we believe companies exist to serve society, and we're always going to run our business to contribute to a sustainable world. And the final thing I'd point out is, the desire to be globally number one and to continue to deliver on that, we think is right, not only for all of our external stakeholders, but we think is an important deliverable to our employees. So we are committed to support the growth of each and every employee in our joint pursuit of global number one excellence. I'll just go through this really quickly. This is stuff we've done before. The stuff meaning it's something I've explained before. There was a lot of hard work to deliver the firm to the position it is today, where we can really go hard for growth. And so across the board, financial, structural, product mix, technology, we've taken significant actions over the last couple of years to get us to the point of structural profitability. You can see, for example, on this page, all the improvements that have occurred over the last 2 years, and very specifically, for example, we took down our fixed costs by 21% over a 2-year period. We took our break-even point down by 260 billion yen, so that's down about 40%. What's important about that is not only is it defensive, meaning if you have a lower break-even point, then you don't have any problems when the market goes down, meaning kind of sales decrease. It is also, if I can put it this way, an offensive strategy for us, meaning, the great thing about having a low break-even point is when you drive sales higher, and we're going to do that, it means you have this hockey stick effect from operating leverage, increasing your profitability. So this is really, really important. The final thing that we worked on, and I touched on this earlier, we had a fundamental flaw in the business, which was over-reliance on a single customer and product set in smartphones, which was a really weak basis in order to build a firm. And so, it's not exactly the case that we love having lost all these sales in the mobile space as it became commoditized and the market moved away from our technology set. But the result of it is you end up with a much, much more stable business and a profitable product portfolio. The final thing that we were working on, and this is an ongoing quest to be a better company and to serve a better world, is delivering more on ESG. In the last year, we signed the United Nations Global Compact. We announced our participation in Apple's Supplier Clean Energy Program, committing to 100% renewable energy. So there's ongoing work there, and we'll continue to strengthen that activity. Let me turn to the financial targets, the KPIs for the 5-year growth plan. One of the things you can see, and it's on the top of the page, is the focus on driving profitable growth and focusing on high margins businesses where we have competitive advantages, which is a way of saying the sales target, which looks like, it's got a certain amount of growth in it, from about 295 billion yen to 473 billion yen. That's a lot lower than we used to be. This is a firm that at one point had sales of over 1 trillion yen. And it's not that, we'd be fine to have sales of 1 trillion yen, but the focus is not trying to grow sales. The focus is growing profitability. And the problem with our previous kind of high sales activity was high sales activity in commodity products with low margins. And so what is truly transformational about what's going to happen, and I'll talk about this on some pages to follow, is not the growth in sales, but the shifting out of low margin commodity products into proprietary, you can only buy this from JDI products, which means you get this utter radical transformational change in profitability. So we see ourselves getting to 100 billion yen EBITDA profitability within 5 years and OP profitability of 80 billion yen in the same period. We're trying to give opportunity to all of our stakeholders, including our shareholders, of course, to monitor us. So a high degree of transparency we think is important in the world. And so we have chosen to show individual year-by-year targets. It just makes it easier for people to understand, okay, you said you're going to do this, and are you on track or not on track, rather than saying 5 years from now we're going to be here. And so, this is what the path we see. This year, as I said earlier, is ugly, and it's ugly, overall because of one-offs. If it hadn't been for the lockdown and kind of this radical surge in pricing and all sorts of things, including, for example, air shipment costs, we would have been profitable on an OP basis this year, and it is what it is, and we'll just run forward. But next year, going into next year, we get a drop-off of these costs. We get 3 factors are pretty visible. The drop-off, as I said earlier, is either the costs go away or we pass the costs. We have some time to pass the costs on to our customers. 2, we understand already what our product mix looks like because we have already contracts in place to deliver products to customers with higher margins, so we're going to get higher profitability from our product mix. And the 3rd is we announced this week the closure of production at one of our fabs in Japan, and so there's a very substantial decrease in our fixed costs that come from that. So we have a lot of confidence in the improvement in these numbers year on year. I mentioned earlier that we were over-reliant on smartphones. You can see on the left-hand side the gray shape, the gray graph is what we were doing in the smartphone space. So we pushed that down because it's become a commoditized market, and we replace it with JDI, global #1 technology, auto tech, in metaverse, OLED, and transparent displays. So let me step through the 6 proprietary growth drivers, and at this point I think I'm going to speed up. Not because this is not important. It's absolutely fundamental. But I am aware that I'm talking at length, and I'm happy to turn to Q&A. We decided to give you more detail and more substance rather than less, but I don't know that you need to be talking to you for an hour and a half. And quite honestly, each one of these categories could support, each one of these 6 proprietary growth drivers could probably support 30 minutes or more. But anyway, the 6 are, on this page, eLeap or Next Gen OLED, HMO and Metaverse. On the next page, Auto Tech and Real Clear and New Tech. What's important to understand is all of these, we're global number 1 in these technology spaces. And so this is not, we think we have something that's interesting and other companies also have it. This is literally if you want to get this technology. If you want, for example, eLeap's high brightness, long life, and high resolution, supporting kind of a massive set of use cases, we literally are the only company in the world that's able to provide it. And I already touched on Auto Tech, Real Clear, and New Tech's products and businesses. So eLeap we announced today, and it's absolutely historic. I mentioned earlier, both eLeap and HMO are kind of once-in-a-lifetime technology breakthroughs. And what's so extraordinary about eLeap is its lithography used with maskless deposition, and hopefully I'm not going to take us in the weeds. And unfortunately, I'm not nearly technically sufficient in the manufacturing process to take you too much in the weeds. But everything in the world today is using mask deposition, so it's fine metal mass. And so the use of fine metal mass is just become kind of a standard. And so to actually do something massless, where you can take out this structural element, is extraordinarily important. And it has some elements in terms of the imprecision created. And this is semiconductor technology, just to be clear. The whole world cares a lot about semiconductors, and you have semiconductors used for compute engines, and you also have semiconductors used for visualization engines. And we are a visualization engine semiconductor company. So taking out these kind of the structural elements of a fine metal mass means you can do massive changes in terms of the precision of the manufacturing. It means we can increase brightness 2x, we can increase lifetime by 3x. It allows you to use free shapes that are just kind of completely unimaginable these days. There's a reason why kind of TVs and smartphones are square, because that's what masks are. And so you take away the mask, you can do clouds, you can do frogs, you can do giraffes, you can do, and I'm not just joking, you can do kind of in the auto space, you can have curvature and make things the exact right size as it would be without having to be square. So it's just really, really important and innovative and exciting. And on the right-hand side, you can see the driver of both the high brightness and the long lifetime is because you have substantially higher emission efficiency and aperture ratios. It means that you can run about half the electrical current through. And so you can either get high brightness, you can also get lower power consumption. Long lifetime comes from the fact that you're not burning the OLEDs with the high current. And so as you can see on the page, you have just a massive improvement in performance over time. This has always been, continues to be a problem with OLED technology, that it burns out, and we have a solution for it. The other thing we would point out is that eLeap dominates all current OLED technologies. The issues that conventional OLEDs have means that they're in a smaller market space. We can go the much higher resolution. That's an element of our maskless eLeap technology. We can go to much higher sizes. It's just an extraordinary and historic breakthrough. And to be clear, this is not our opinion. I mean, we have worked on this technology for years. We announced it today. We have had very robust discussions with the best clients, the best customers in the world. We have technology agreements in place with them to talk about how we're going to take this forward. This is just really kind of mind-blowing, fantastic magic. And that's what we exist for. We believe in magic too. The other thing I would point out is this is an extraordinary environment, positive technology. The problem with masks is that they gunk up the production process, where you have You have evaporation chambers and deposition. You need to clean them regularly with toxic chemicals. The environmental impact is very substantial. You have to be very careful about that in terms of avoiding groundwater pollution, which of course we do. This is non-trivial in terms of the negative potential impacts from using these chemicals. We completely get rid of it. In addition to that, it's a far more efficient process, so we can cut CO2 emissions. We have an example on the page just using our factory in Mabar, our G6 plant in Chiba. And when we introduce this process there, we will decrease CO2 emissions by 150,000 tons per year. That's about 900,000 cedar trees or 3,700 Tokyo domes. We like to talk about Tokyo Dome in Japan as an example of size. Let me turn to HMO, which is another very big technology breakthrough. I understand you've been patient listeners, so I'll run forward. This page shows the biggest deliverable from the technology. Again, this is go everywhere. HMO technology improves existing oxides with 4 times higher mobility. It means you get much higher resolution, speed, and performance, and you also get 40% lower power consumption. It's truly phenomenal. And it also is able to go to scale. This is a technology that is able to scale to larger screen sizes. The current kind of best in class technology, LCD technology, is LTPS, which is used broadly in the world for high-end products such as smartphones. LTPS won't go above G6, and HMO will go beyond to G8 to G10, and at a substantially lower cost. So this is, again, technology is about changing the world with higher cost performance through the magic of human mind, intuition, invention, and innovation. And so this is a breakthrough. It allows us to have higher performance at lower costs. Turning to the metaverse, again, we dominate this space, and I will run forward. Here's our technology roadmap. We are, as you can see, VR. So this is primarily virtual reality headsets in the metaverse space right now. We're global number 1 in terms of image quality. We're the only company that is shipping 1,201 PPI displays. We expect this is all based on glass substrates. So there is a path to high resolution through silicon, which is incredibly expensive, like literally 5 to 10 times more expensive. So again, the focus is delivering extraordinary capability at the lowest possible cost. We expect to get 2,000 PPI within 3 years. This is a market that's growing very fast. In fact, it's probably going to grow much, much faster if there's a metaverse kick to it relative to what we show on the left-hand side of the page. You can see we have 40% market share. We continue to grow it. I would point out, as I just pointed out, we actually have 100% market share in 1,200 PPI and more, and the entire market is moving there. And so we expect to grow our share very substantially going forward. Turning to auto tech, and there's just a lot here, so I'm going to run forward with you. There's a lot going on. HUD is an acronym for Heads Up Displays. We are global number 1 in this. It is and I should probably go back. Actually, it's not on this page right here. Well, I talked about it earlier. I'm going back. The advantage of head-up displays is it's a substantial increase in safety. It's actually on this page, in road and passenger safety, because you don't have to look down at the console. It actually puts it on the windshield in front of you. And so it substantially decreases accidents. We're number 1 in this technology space. We expect to continue to drive it going forward. eLeap is a major technology breakthrough. The truth of the matter is that OLED has become kind of the dominant high-end technology for smartphones. It is not succeeding getting into the auto space. I told you earlier that one of the problems with OLED is that it doesn't have strong durability, and auto manufacturers really, really care about durability. And so we solved that problem, as I said earlier, with 3x and lifetime capability. And so this is something that is really very well targeted for auto technology and is going to be a growth driver for us. I'd point out that the auto business continues to be a growth business. We're seeing growth in both in the number of cars sold globally. We're seeing particularly growth in EVs, of course. And again, our technology is very well matched that because we have EVs run on batteries and they really, really care about energy consumption. We have the single best low energy and high performance technology set of any display provider in the world. And so we've got, but anyway, the growth scenario comes from one, number of cars being shipped globally continues to grow, two, the number of displays within cars continues to grow, and three, the size of displays within cars continues to grow. So we got these three growth factors punching forward for this to continue to be a good business for us. I already touched on Real Clear, our transparent displays. They have the world's highest transparency, and that just kind of creates all these kind of use cases. And so we're imagining with kind of our customers as to how we can use this. We show kind of our current 12-inch display technology. We're going to be shipping a 20+ inch display we expect within the next year. But this is literally, no one else has ever gotten to this. We have 84% transparency, which is effectively the same as window glass. No other manufacturer can get that, and it can't get there in color. They're dark, they're black and white only. So it truly is a breakthrough product. And the question is, how do we use it in brand new use cases that are important for customers? And so we've got kind of these demo kits all over with kind of the best technology companies on the planet, kind of looking at how can we use this? And so we really think this is really powerful and very interesting. And the technology is really a material science technology, and it's not quite Coca-Cola with its recipe locked in a safe somewhere, but we're literally about four people in the world who know what a recipe is for this, and we feel we have a great deal of understanding of how far ahead we are, and we can keep our advantage. We expect this to be a big market, although this is actually far too small relative to what it could be. But we're trying to start with numbers that we think look reasonably small, but this could be very, very big, depending on the use case expansion. And then I will turn next to new tech products and businesses. This is on this page is announced. So we've introduced contactless hover sensors, which obviously, so you just hover above, you don't even have to touch a button. Given what's happening in public health right now, that's obviously a strong use case. On the right-hand side, we are number one in the world in medical displays through our high brightness, ultra high contrast, and something we continue to grow. On the left side of this page, also announced, we have deployed our LCD technology for ultra high speed, high bandwidth, next gen telecom. And finally, not yet really announced, but we expect to get there fairly soon. We're doing quite a bit of work in biometric sensor technology that we think is really, really exciting. And that, I think, with thanks to all of you for your patient listening, is both our corporate presentation and our growth strategy presentation. Thank you so much. I'm happy now to take Q&A or any and all comments or feedback.
Yes, if you would like to ask a question, please press raise hand button. We'll unmute.
We'll bring it to a close. We were happy to take any and all questions also offline. And I thank you very much for joining us. We've got a lot of very exciting deliverables, and we look forward to showing you our progress over time. So thank you, everybody. Have a very good day.
Thank you very much. If you come up with any questions later on, please contact us at Japan Display Investor Relations. Thank you very much.